There we go. Hello, everyone.
I need to make sure I'm sitting in the middle of the screen again. It's very
Yeah, I need to
disconcerting.
shift my position. Ah. I'm just knocking over my light as well. Hello, thank you for joining us on this Discord and Noice.com Q&A. Let me know, people in the background who are also watching, if you cannot hear this or any technical issues happen. We do have the chat open, etc. And we have a few, not just a few, we have quite a lot of questions to go through as well. But I guess we should start with introductions.
You
Hello.
start.
Yeah, I'll start. So, hello, my name's Jenny, or Yenny. I don't mind how you wish to pronounce the name. I'm the VP of the Core Experience here at Noice. I'm also one of the co-founders. Um, what is that? What does that title mean? Well, basically, I'm kind of responsible for the for kind of quite a lot of parts of the platform. Basically, how it feels, what the features are, and many more things beside that. But yeah, I've been working on at Noice and on Noice since inception, so hopefully I'll be able to answer quite a few questions. Well, there you go.
I, I think your remit will become clearer with the questions that you answer because I think that covers
Yes.
like every element of the platform, and where most of the questions have come from is your world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I'm Drew. I'm VP Growth. My remit is across creators. That's bringing creators to the platform, making sure they have a great experience, social, marketing, and kind of everything in between that comes alongside a startup that's building a product and needs some support on everything outside building the product itself, which is fun. But I think, like for me, remit wise, and probably what I'll cover a lot on this call is going to be targeted towards creators and maybe a touch on players. But I think that's also Yenny's world as well.
I should unmute myself. Yeah. So should we get cracking with the topics? What do
Let's
you?
jump in. Look, we've got
Yeah.
we've got an hour. We might use the hour. I think just as a call out for anyone on Discord, go to noice.com/noice if you want to see us because our webcams aren't working um, on Discord. Best place to send any questions that you want to send in live, probably chat. We're going to note them down and then we'll answer them within the session and make sure we cover everything. Like even if it's a question you're not sure you get an answer for, we'll give it an answer. It might not be the one you want, but it will be an answer. We're not going to shy away from anything. We want to try to be as transparent as possible from the get go here. And this is the first ever of its kind. So yeah, we'll cover everything that you want to send in.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what people throw our way. Um, should we start with? Let's have a look. Actually, should we start with the games?
I think so.
It feels like a good place to start. I mean, one of the big things that we are getting asked a lot is about new games. Like, what new games are coming to Noise? Is Noise? I particularly like this one. I found this one quite interesting. Is Noise interested in games like sports or fighting games? And I'd say yes. um, yeah, so there will be some new games coming. We haven't announced what they are just yet, um, but they are different in terms of the genres and the experiences that you've been playing so far in Noise and the games we currently support. So expect something a little bit different from the norm and what we've established. Um, with this comes also new sort of elements as well on top of the play. So I think there's actually a question later which I'm going to completely ruin now, which is the question about whether or not it will be the current card game and the prediction game is going to be the same. And I'm saying a lot because I'm trying to be careful to not reveal too much. But yes, we are working on supporting a bunch of new games with potentially some new sort of ways to play as well. But we'll dig into that a little bit more in a bit. I'd say.
So as we go through it, we'll make sure to mention the people that have asked the questions because we're very grateful for them. So I think that question was from Mother Mayhem and also Sirius Black.
Sirius
right?
Black as well. Yes. Sorry, guys.
Great names, by the way. Great names. Great film.
Yeah.
I can cover anything from we've had a few questions. I think I mentioned it, kind of like maybe from creators that, for anyone that's not aware, obviously, like we're still limited on how many creators that we are allowing onto Noice, and that's for good reason that we believe. I think for us, like we obviously believe that we want as many creators on Noice as physically possible for us and as quickly as possible, but to make sure that that is a great experience for you as a creator when you come to the platform means that we are being a bit more careful with the timings within that. So I think I also had a question from Mother Mayhem around applications when they open up, like how long we have to wait for a reply. First part of that is we're actually like redoing our process as it currently sits, and the answer to that should then be within a week or so. And I'm purposely not using set days or hours here until we confirm the process. But like within a period of time, that means that you know where you stand with us. Now, obviously, if that answer is positive and you've been accepted into the creator program or to be a creator on Noice or whatever that means, then from there it'll be quite a quick process within 24 hours. If the answer is no for whatever reason, then of course, like within the next window, the next time that we have, then there's another ability to apply. Without getting too far into the future, there will be some quite significant updates from the ability to be a creator on Noice and the aforementioned creator program for us over the next the coming kind of weeks and months that allow us to hopefully give you more clarity and transparency on that. Because as I said at the top of the answer, we want all of you that want to stream on Noice to be able to stream. We just have to make sure that when you do, you have a great experience and not a negative one that means you don't come back.
I think for the next topic, I'm going to take it back to the games. I'm so sorry, Drew. So we have a question here from, I hope I pronounced this right, Sidu or Sidu. In the future, will you start adding games from all genres or focus on a select few genres that fit the current card system? So I sort of hinted at it earlier, and I almost sort of almost answered this one at the same time. But basically, our long-term sort of goal is to bring predictions of some sort to potentially every game. It might not be in the same format or the same style as the current prediction game as it is on the platform, but we do believe that like in the future and our long-term vision is about how do we support everything to some degree, and then we're working on something that is quite exciting, but it's just the first step towards achieving that vision. And over the next coming months, potentially years, we'll be expanding that out and really sort of adding quite a different experience to what you see today. So we're not just looking at improving what's there or just building on top of that, but also introducing completely new ways of engaging and having new ways to engage with users as well as like users creators. So yeah, watch this space because there's going to be quite a few cool things on the way.
For sure. I think on a somewhat similar vein, there was another question from that one SG, which was when will Noice be available to all streamers? And I think, again, not to repeat myself, but just to re-clarify, we as a company, as a platform, want every creator on Noice that wants to be on Noice, now, today, yesterday. I think for us, it will be around, achieving certain levels of confidence around like what that experience will be like for you as a new creator that comes to Noice and streams for the first time, because one time is not enough for us, right? We want you to be able to start your journey on Noice, and that's a long-term journey, not a short-term one. So as far as like when will it be available, the answer, of course, is it's a when rather than if. And to my earlier point, there will be some information that we can share in the not too distant future that will give you some more clarity around that and allow us to at least start to get more creators that want to stream on Noice, streaming on Noice. It might not be all, but that's, of course, the end goal. We've had honestly more demand than I thought we would at this point, and that's an amazing problem to have for us when we have thousands of creators that are applying or trying to stream on Noice. Our job absolutely at the moment is to get as many of you that have applied as a first part here or a first phase here live on the platform. And you might have seen some of that through the activity we've been doing the last couple of weeks, and that will continue to be the case the next few weeks and months.
There's an interesting question here about the free reshuffles. It's actually also from Sudo. Oh, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm sort of like looking at it. But anyway, the question is also, can we have free card refresh once per game back? Because initially when we launched, I know exactly what this is about. We had the option of having a free reshuffle for every single match. Your first reshuffle was free, and then we took that away. Which obviously it's not the most popular of decisions. We are like looking at if we're going to bring it back on a per game basis. What we want to try and avoid is having it so that reshuffling becomes almost like too easy in a way. Like, we do still want you to make a choice between the cards that are in front of you, rather than search the deck for a card which you always want to play. We want to try and keep it varied. So that's one of the reasons why the free reshuffle was removed. However, there are a few games which are proving to be a little bit trickier than some of the others in terms of the difficulty for scoring cards just in general, like Apex Legends being one of the key ones. But also we're looking at the current difficulty of Valorant as well, and have made a number of balancing changes around that. So we may reintroduce the actual free one per match, depending on the game, rather than have it as a blanket addition. But watch this space. We're still looking at these sort of things, and like, how can we encourage and get a balance between reshuffle tokens and the cards that you get dealt. So hopefully that answered it.
Doing this zigzag that we're doing from game and platform back to
thank you.
It
feels right to say it that way. So I'm happy that you're not laying this pronunciation.
Well, I think just to skip over here to a bit of a different topic, there was a question from Raftalia. When will the platform be available for beta testing in South America? I think it's important to collect feedback from all regions with streamers from that region and their audience. Agreed, of course, on this. I don't think there's any misunderstanding at Noice around the value that new regions, and specifically the South American region, can provide. I think we've seen obviously how other platforms have really worked with the communities within that region alone. For us, it's always going to come back to the same piece that I said for my last answer, which is the experience that you have as a player, viewer, or as a creator on Noice. For example, things like moderation. All right, when you add a new language or you focus on a new language, moderation suddenly becomes a different beast, and it has a different dimension to the one where you are English speaking only. And we want to make sure that we have those things right, so we can create a safe space, a safe community, a positive community. And we don't want to kind of walk before, or like run before we walk, I think, within that. And that's really where it comes from when it comes to regions, languages. And again, like, we're not oblivious, and I'm definitely not saying that we haven't had a huge amount of excitement from regions, countries that are not English speaking. And again, like, our goal is not an if we add those and we have support for those. It's absolutely a when. And I think it's just a case of making sure that we have the confidence. It will be a fantastic experience for you as a player, you as a viewer, and the creators that come to the platform as well. And I think, like, for me, we are looking at probably a process where once we have a level of comfortability or confidence in the way that the platform functions for what is currently English speaking, then we will look to open up as quickly as possible after that.
I'm also going to take us in a different direction because there's some questions about the avatars here. And I think this one's quite an interesting one from Blue Sun. What kind of plans are there to allow us players to show off our avatars in the stream even more? So right now we're currently actually sort of, our main focus with the avatars is to take a look at the technical implementation of them, which it's a very boring answer, I apologize. But we're looking at sort of performance enhancements we can make to make them less demanding and to bring a sort of a larger experience. I don't want to go too deep into details, but trying to create a sort of more of a crowd feel and more of a sort of more optimized over the web. We are also looking at ways of optimizing our 2D process as well for the avatars. So one of the things is that, like, on the mobile app and on the mobile web, we can't, because of the technologies that are used, we can't actually display the 3D models. So we're looking at a way of making sure that we can bring the avatars to those platforms in a way that makes sense, which, I mean, kind of would be bringing them into more places and showing them in more ways, but obviously that's not really what the question's getting at. But there'll be more people that will see the avatars and more ways you can see the avatars. But on top of that, we are also sort of having a look at, like, ways in which they can be brought up, thanks to, say, like, more like efficient 2D system, 3D system, etc. So no hard details at the moment, and the team responsible for that area is currently more looking at the efficiency, making them a bit more optimized. But watch this space in regards to that.
We can take a small interlude. We're 20 minutes in and we've had some people join as well on both Discord and the stream. If you have questions that are coming up live or questions that are coming off the back of the answers that we're giving, then you can either put them in the Discord stage channel, or if you go to noice.com/noice, where you can see us, you can put it in chat there, like Miha just has, and then we can pick it up from there, and we'll cover any questions that come in by the time that we finish. And I will get to those questions that are in chat. We're just adding them to a list that we go through them and we make sure everyone gets their questions answered. There was another question when we come to kind of the future of the platform when it comes to, and this is from Sedu as well. I think Sedu, well, I guess we're just going to go for that at this point. When it talks about, and it's funny because I've used the term when and if. It was when, and then in brackets, if Noice opens up for anyone to start streaming, how do you expect the limited options in card-supported games to affect the various streamers' interest in staying on the platform? I'll reiterate, it's definitely a when rather than an if, for sure. For us, like, I think there's two parts to this. For me, in my experience, and the working with creators that we have done with Noice and for years before, creators are quite game specific. So, like, if we're assigning a Valorant creator or a Valorant creator who's coming to stream on the platform, the majority of their content, the majority of their live content will be Valorant in that sense. And for us, that doesn't concern me, because that's obviously the prediction games in a place that makes that a fantastic experience. If creators want to variety stream or stream multiple titles, of course, if that's for our supported titles, that's fantastic. They can switch between them. I think the real challenge here, and I think Jenni's alluded to it, is obviously games outside of the current titles that that are on Noice. And I think as Jenni went through, we all, of course, want to find ways to allow a creator to stream those games on Noice and have a great experience have their community, make sure their community have a great experience. And in that sense, again, like that's something that we'll be talking about more like in the near future. But for Noice specific, Noice supported games, I'm so far anyway in the data, like the data looks good for us, where we look at the engagement and retention is good with those pieces when they're playing those games. Now, if they want to switch off it, that's again it's a different question. But so far, so good. And I think like we'll start to get the answers to the questions where we do start to increase the amount of creators on the platform and start to see how those communities engage with the card game and maybe non-card games too.
Should we answer one of the ones in chat? I can see an interesting one. Has anything surprised you positively in how people use Noice, either as a creator or a viewer? Is there something positive that's popped up that you might not have anticipated? I think like from my perspective, of course, like I was here before the company existed, basically, and so a lot of the sort of things you see on screen today, or at least the concepts and the systems, they originated on a document somewhere on the cloud. So I'm just positively like I'm not necessarily surprised, but it's still I guess a little bit surprised because it's such a it's a big a lot of work and a lot of people have put in a lot of time and effort and really sort of like committed to making this platform be a success, and we're like I'm always positively surprised by how like it's all come together and how it sort of works, and like playing along to say one of the launch games like Fortnite with people there live on the platform and people enjoying it and people getting called out for high scoring cards and like seeing creator cards in play, it like when it was just at some point just a theoretical thing that was on a Google Doc or whatever, like that always surprises me and it and makes me so happy to see. So hopefully we can see more sort of going forward. It's kind of
yeah. No, that's definitely. Yeah. I have two on this. Like I was thinking about this as you were answering, and I have one creator side and one player side. Player side, even though like now I say it, it kind of makes sense. Seeing certain people speed run when new seasons come out on Noice is insane to me. I'm so used to seeing like wow, like when we're talking about wow, people doing it, but people like doing it on Noice, which is like our platform, just to get to the, to max level is so cool to me. Like every time we see it, the same names pop up. People internally like know the names. I think it's just super exciting. Creator side, I don't think I quite understood the power of our low latency on stream. I was actually talking about it just before this call, but I've seen like 6 or 7 different examples of different creators doing the test where they say a word and they see how quickly people type it in chat. Like we have a couple of like said like they say a random word like apple, and then before it's like as they just finish the word, their chat's already typing the word, which obviously is that connection between both. Exactly, just like that. It's almost like we planned this. But like I think like that side was also, and seeing multiple creators do it, I think brought it home for me about how powerful it is that we can provide that experience and that connection between creator and chat in this case. So yeah, on both sides.
So there's an interesting question here, which is about like the audience interactions or the creator and player interactions. I think it's by Sudo again. Like there's a lot. You've asked a lot of good questions. Sorry. It might be an odd question considering all spamming that goes on big platforms, big streams and other platforms. Do you expect to run into issues where regular chat interactions get drowned out by people yelling at the streamer to complete their cards? I think some creators have experienced some elements of that. Like it depends on the game, of course, and the audience, but it is something that crops up occasionally on stream, and it's really up to the creator how they want to deal with it. If they want to engage in and sort of like go with a more sort of audience led interaction, then they can do so absolutely. But obviously, if they find that a little bit annoying, they can also put that in as a Nightbot message or as a sort of community guidelines to make sure that it's maybe not on their channel. But I think that's more of a sort of like, it's up to the creator essentially how they want to handle stuff like that. Also, has my video started to delay, or I've
I don't think
just
so.
okay, good. I just
I
thought it
don't know
was.
now. I guess chat will tell us.
I
Okay,
thought
that's
it
good. That's
just
good news. See how
gone.
quick that
Okay,
message
good.
came in when you asked. The lack of latency
Yeah, the
really,
lack of
really came
latency
through
is a
there.
little bit freaky. I've forgotten about that. But yeah, so it's really up to the channel. It's not going to be a platform-wide policy about people sort of well, spam obviously isn't great, and our automod will likely pick up actual spam messages. But in terms of like how we handle it from a platform perspective, we are not going to necessarily get involved in that.
There was another like live question that's come in since we started from Sirius Black that says, any plans for Noice to one day enable streaming via consoles like PlayStation and or Xbox? The short answer is it's not on our now. Not to say it won't eventually become the case. I think as maybe I've alluded to a few of these answers, we have to be brutal with what we deem a priority and not for now that will have the biggest impact on obviously creator experience, player experience, and the future of the platform. And for that, currently the answer is no. Ask us again in a few months, and the answer might be different. But for now, it's not on the roadmap.
Yeah, it's as a sort of extension on that. It's tough. Like we have so many amazing sort of ideas and so many things that we want to get done. And like we just don't have like we don't have millions of people. We're quite small, especially compared to some of our competitors. So we have to pick and choose which ones we sort of we do first. And it's never an easy choice. I like really want to underline that. But having said that, we are bringing out new features pretty regularly. We saw the mass gifted subs launch, I think, 2 days ago, and like that sort of cadence of fairly frequent updates will continue. Well, I say fairly frequent; they've been pretty frequent, and we'll continue improving it, and we'll continue listening to what people tell us they want to see more of um, as well as pushing through new ideas and new features that no one's ever seen before. So we're trying to find that balance. But yeah, it's tough, and like even even internally, it can be sometimes like some of the features that we push out can be like a bit sort of like no, but we'll get round to them eventually. Don't be too disappointed.
I think on that subject, there's a question from Mother Mayhem saying, "Are clips going to be a thing where chat can make clips?" I think clipping has been one of our most requested features, as probably isn't a surprise to most people. I think for us, there's a challenge with what clipping means on Noice. Noice is very different to other platforms, where on other platforms you are taking a clip of a stream, it's your video feed, or it's your gameplay feed and your webcam, and that's about it, right, with your overlay. Noice there's an entire overlay on top of that. All right, like there's the prediction game, and therefore like we need to work out, and we are trying to work out what our version of clipping needs to be to make sure that the experience is good for you as a player if you're doing it in chat, or creators and they're wanting to use that content online. I think like that's still very much a TBC, but as I hope you can imagine, because it's so highly requested, it's also something that we're constantly looking at moving forward internally. But I think for us, it's very much like a phased approach and looking at how we can again get to a point where it's fit for purpose rather than just the minimum experience that would replicate that on other platforms. Because I don't think that's good enough for Noice. I think it needs to be something that's a bit more Noice specific in this case.
So we also have another live question I just seen, which is from Soltec, which is when will Noice be fixed for Android users? Exclamation mark. it's a huge problem. People when it comes to people watching the streams, and a number of bugs, and uh, so we are aware that there are a few sort of problems here and there of the mobile web on Android. It depends as well on the model of Android, and there is quite a lot to cover, which again, like we are a small team, unfortunately, so it does take us a little while to fix these sort of problems and to locate them and test them and track them down and then make sure that the fixes happen. We're also, although if you're an Android user, you won't want to hear this, but we are also, that team's also looking at fixing the bugs in the iOS app version at the same time. So it's very much about, again, about the focus of the team day to day and what they get around to. Although I do urge people, if you do run into any issues with like the mobile web on Android or anything, there is a support button on the site where you can get in touch with us, and we do read these messages and we do reply to them, and they do go up to the development teams. So we will sort of see these issues as they come through. But again, it just comes back down to being able to get the time to actually, fix these issues, locate them as well, because often they're harder to locate than they are to fix. So it's a bit tricky, but we will try and endeavour to fix any sort of problems that crop up on our different platforms.
No, for sure. Jumping back to a topic we covered a little bit, and it was from Raftalia at the time, or Raftalia, looking at adding more regions, or beta testing with streamers in different languages, and it could also include games that do not need cards, or to increase the amount of content. Games like GTA RP that do not need cards. For us, and I feel quite strongly on this, is we need to work out what the reason and what the benefit is of creators coming to Noice if there is no differentiator from other platforms, which would be what this is, right? If there's no cards and nothing that's different, we are just a Twitch copycat or whatever platform you're currently consuming your content on. So for us, I don't think that it's in our best interests to try to attract creators, or even allow creators maybe to stream on Noice if the experience is not one that is of a Noice level, or at least of a level that's better than you can get elsewhere. Because ultimately, if I'm a creator right now and I'm starting from scratch, I need a reason to go to a new platform. We're aware that as the new people on the block, the new kids on the block, that we need to give reasons, motivations to try somewhere new, and I think that comes back to what differentiates us from other platforms. I don't think if we had no experience that was better, I think we'd actually lose out to other platforms, because we don't have certain features that platforms have built over 10 years. So we need to make sure that we have the confidence that if we do support the games you've mentioned, or whatever new regions, whatever it may be, that there's actually a reason to come to Noice as a creator, and there's a reason to come to Noice as a player, because that isn't the case right now, and we need to make sure there is before we open it up any further.
Next question is from Ches, which was asked on the live chat, and that is: will you open up streaming to coders and programmers in the future to add to this? Will you be making an API? So this is, if those are not technically minded, this is effectively the ability to code new experiences onto the platform from third-party developers. So almost like a Steam Workshop kind of thing. The answer to that is, and I'm gonna sound a little bit like what Drew said earlier, which is it's not on the roadmap, which means it's not going to happen soon, but certainly when we talk long-term vision, the idea of sort of user-generated content and user-generated experiences, and of customizing predictions, there's certainly a lot of discussions, let's say. So it's not something that we are going to be doing soon. So there won't be an API for developers to make prediction games and stuff like that on Noice for the near future. But watch this space when it comes to the more sort of customization and ownership and sort of the ability to change the experience, because that will be something that you'll see more of as the platform grows and as the platform matures. So that's all. So I can say on that, but it's in a direction that is similar to the one we are heading.
For sure. There's a couple of questions from Sirius Black around is there a way to request games that can one day be possible to stream on Noice? I mean, yes, of course, there's a way to request, which is tell us, all right, on social, or get your creators to shout at us, or whatever it may be. For us, I think it always, again, it takes a lot of time and resource to add games to Noice, and therefore, or like Noice supported games rather. And so for that, we need to make sure that one, yes, like if it's being higher requested, we should look at it, but also things like the expected longevity of the game. If we start working towards supporting this game on Noice, by the time that we are happy with the state of it, is there the people to watch it and the creators to stream it? And I think like that, we've seen that with these games that have these kind of very quick peaks, and then obviously a potential drop off a cliff because hype just died down for it. And I think that's the balance that we're always going to have to somewhat work towards when we're talking about kind of the full Noice predictions experience that exists on the platform currently. So I think please, like I said, please make your desires heard, right? It absolutely does stimulate conversation internally. But of course, we'll look at also data points around player base, viewership, creators, things like that allow us to have a level of confidence in the future of the game and it going from strength to strength.
Yeah, and to build on that, one of the things that we're looking at internally is how do we get faster at bringing out prediction games, Noice prediction games, supported games. How do we get faster at that? How do we make it more efficient? How do we make it more stable and more accurate as well? So that's also ongoing as we're looking at these new games. And we also want to challenge ourselves as well. We've got two battle royales supported, but they're huge games and they're fantastic. And we have Dead by Daylight, which is such a unique game, co-op survival horror. But yeah, and then we've just brought out Valorant, which is very much round-based. It's quite a different way of playing as well. But we're always looking for certainly these first few games that we bring to the platform. We're always looking at how we can bring something that is different from what we've brought out before, and to challenge ourselves and to challenge the system and to challenge can we make this? Can we have these predictions and will they work with this game? Because the more we learn there, the more it prepares us for when we have this sort of future where it's supported everywhere, and it gives us the sort of confidence and the experience of the tooling, etc., to allow it to be expanded out.
Yeah, definitely. I think in a similar sense, there was a question which we get asked a lot, obviously, around what will the next games be, and that's spoilers. Obviously, I think I think we can talk a little bit about how we look to to my earlier point, those games that you have a level of confidence in. I think we obviously have goals to support games, those kind of tier one games that are in a league of their own, right? We're looking at the games that consistently year on year retain player base, viewership, creators that I probably don't need to mention by name here, but I think those games are of course high on the list. Now, in which order, obviously, not something that I'm going to go into. And also, I think within that, there is opportunity outside of those kind of tier one or AAA titles that, to Jenni's point, if we can move quicker and support games that maybe do have these kind of high highs in a short period of time, that's an opportunity for us for sure. But because the Noice experience is so different to other streaming platforms, we can add an entirely new dimension. It's something that we've seen with Dead by Daylight, where quite a lot of the community, or at least like vocal community with Dead by Daylight, look at Noice as a new way to enjoy the game, to watch the game, maybe even to reinvigorate the game, which I think is really exciting for us. Because maybe going back to the earlier question, maybe that's not something that I'd really considered, it leveling up the overall gaming experience for certain titles or genres. So, I think from that side, there's some obvious like titles that when I say AAA, most people will default to. A level of confidence that those, of course, like on the list. But as far as like timings with it and order in which they come, the best place to keep an eye on it would be our social channels at Noice Streaming, I'd say.
It's a shame that we can't give even any hints, isn't it? Because that would be very helpful for people to know. But unfortunately, we can't give any hints.
To give hints on like for our most engaged community and watchers that are in these streams, there's no way that we can give specific
There's no way
hints.
we can do it, which is a real shame. Right, there's a question here about raids. To just whiplash the subject away from the games for a second. This is a question from Smother Mayhem. What about raids? Are we going to be able to raid out to someone else on Noice? Raids is an interesting one. It has come up quite a lot internally as well. We are talking about raids. We don't want to do them wrong, I think is the TLDR of this. Like we can just dedicate some time and take how raids work from certain other places and just slap them on. But I don't think we're entirely happy with just doing that. So we want to take a look at the feature as a whole and do it right when we do it. It's to sound a little bit like a broken record. It isn't quite on our radar at the moment in terms of the roadmap and what we're currently working on. But yeah, it has been discussed a few times internally, and like I say, we don't want to just come out with a cookie cutter, bread and butter kind of feature here. We want to make sure that we do it right when it comes out, because raids are great, but they're also, they can not be great. So we need to make sure that they're usually great and hopefully always great. But yeah.
For sure. We also had a live question going from Sirius Black around hiring for developers, graphic designers, etc. Best place to find out is on a careers page, and I don't know the exact URL of it. So if you can't find that, definitely where you can find it is our LinkedIn page, and then you can look at roles that we're currently hiring for. Best place to find it today and forever as we go. And then if someone knows the URL that's in chat, you can share that directly too.
When will Noice leave beta, Drew?
How long is a piece of string, Jenni? Beta, I think this has also been a discussion internally quite a lot. I think beta has almost lost its weight in definition in the world of gaming and tech now. The answer is we don't know for sure. I think we've touched on actually quite a lot of topics that really feed into what coming out of beta requires, right? Creators, games, players, regions. These are all things that I don't think anyone can really justify coming out of beta without having some quite good solutions for. So it's a bit of a politician's answer, but once those things have been done, we'll come out of beta. Which obviously is not something that's super short term for us, but we want to make sure that we have a level of confidence in how the platform will perform at the scale that we would reach if we came out of beta and went full platform side.
There's a question, and it is when will we get an app for Android? And that's from Galaxy. I kind of touched upon it earlier with the reply to the mobile web bug fixes. We have right now, because we are, I'm going to reiterate again, unfortunately, we're quite a small company. We are certainly we're trying to do a lot of things with few people, so we are stretched a bit at the moment when it comes to sort of expanding out our mobile offerings. The team that are currently working on that are currently fixing some release bugs with the iOS app that came out a few weeks back. So they're currently optimizing that. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that for an Android user hearing that we're not currently working on the Android app because we're doing the iOS app is probably the worst thing I could possibly say. But it's unfortunately it's the truth, and we don't have the resources to split them between two apps at the moment. So that's currently what's happening. So I'm not saying, certainly never say never on the Android app side of things, but right now we're currently committed to making sure that the iOS app and potentially even the mobile web experience is brought up to the same level as desktop, over and above a dedicated app to Android just yet. But I know how much you guys are passionate about getting a dedicated app for Android, and it's and we have some diehard Android fans inside the company as well who also ask that question a lot. So it's it's a case of basically once we get through the sort of launch period of iOS, we'll then review like where time is being spent and where people are working, and then we'll make sure that that's certainly up for consideration.
I'll give a final roll call because we've got a few questions left, but a final roll call to anyone that wants to send any live questions in on either the Discord Q&A or in chat at noice.com/noice. There's also a question that's quite open actually. It's is there anything exciting coming that you can share? No, I'm joking. Loads of exciting things. I think, again, like going into specifics, I think we're, as a company, like we want to be as transparent as possible wherever we can be. That said, what I don't believe transparency should be is promising things and timelines then some of us can't deliver. And so when we're maybe a bit more general around, or we're non-committal around timelines, it's not because we don't want to, it's because we want to make sure that we continue this journey where like we're honest and transparent around how long things can take. That said, the next 2 months or so for Noice have a lot of very, very exciting things happening that have never happened before on Noice. And I think for me, those things, some of which we've covered in weird ways when we've answered questions, some we haven't. But I think when we talk about kind of what is quite a pivotal time for Noice and taking it to the next level in which the platform grows, the player experience gets better, the creator experience gets better, the next 2 months, I think, would be a time to keep a close eye on the platform and everything that we're looking to achieve within the next kind of 7 to 8 weeks or so.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because some of the things we're not quite sure when they're going to land, so we don't want to say like now, like, hey, this is definitely happening, because we don't want to get you guys like too excited, and then if we miss that, then we'll be like, oh. But hopefully, like some of the sort of discussions about where we want to take the platform kind of hint at some of the things that might be coming soon as well. So the long-term vision of this sort of like being able to predict like beyond simply just playing the prediction game cards is a massive hint as to what we're currently working on, and also a number of things that Drew has mentioned during this broadcast has also been a bit of a clue. So we can at least tell you what direction we want to sort of take the platform and where we're going, but we might not be able to discuss specifics about the particular destinations that we're going to first. That's a train metaphor, wasn't it?
Yes. Also, Soltec, you missed. Jenni's already answered about Android app. You missed it. You probably zoned out. This stream will be uploaded as a VOD, but I'll paraphrase. Soltec is, we of course know it's something that we need to do, but with the resource that we have at hand, the people we have in the team, they are working on the current mobile experience across iOS and then also on mobile web. And of course, as soon as we're able to, the Android app will get some love. I think we're pretty much there. I don't know if you've got any more that I think that's most of our questions covered, unless you've seen any
Yeah.
more.
So that's why I'm sort of delaying because I'm
Yeah,
glancing in to
I
see
was
if we've
making
got
sure. I
any
was
more.
having a last scan to make sure. Yeah. No, it's all love. It's all love. I was making sure you paid attention. That's what it was.
Come on,
Um,
Drew. That's harsh.
oh yeah, that's my internal Drew coming out there. I don't know what's going on. I don't think we've had any others that have come in that I can see. And this is your final call as we wrap things up, because we can pick up any that come in. And like I said, if there's anything that you didn't get a chance to catch, or you heard the question, didn't hear the answer, we'll be uploading this to our YouTube channel as well, so you can run through it and pick up anything that you might have missed.
Awesome.
Okay.
Ah. He's just so angry. I'm so sorry, Saltek. Like, he just can't contain his rage.
It's just been a long day, guys. What are we talking about? Also, that's the sign of like a great platform, really. If people still love the platform, even if they have to deal with me, then that's just the dream. That's just the dream. Maybe it's Josh being middle person in this situation. This was the first of its kind, and like I think as part of those aforementioned things that are happening over the next couple of months or so, and us wanting to be as forthcoming with communication and transparency, because I think it's something that has not been good enough maybe in the industry up until this point. We will continue to do more if there's a demand, and if there's the questions to warrant it. So keep sending them in. We'll track them, as you've hopefully seen firsthand. We'll make sure that there's another one of these in good time. And thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for all the questions. And it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, like you said, like it'd be really great if we can all sit down again, like and discuss a few more things as they come up, and have more chats with you guys. So let's do it again.
Agreed. Amazing. Thanks everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good day if you're across